And some people might say, Kev, I like watching the news. All the misfortune and crazy drama in the world. It actually makes me feel better about my dissatisfaction. I'm serious, like some people will say this, but that's exactly my point. In this modern media-driven world, even if we rarely watch the news, we still might not understand how we're letting it affect us on a massive level. And I want to talk about some straightforward ways that we can use to protect ourselves from the indirect onslaught of fear-mongering and rage bait constantly being pulsated throughout what we call the media. Now, I think most of us already know that the news is basically fast food for the mind, and it has a negative bias to it, but they focus on these negative stories because they attract more viewers. And then that way, they can keep them glued continuously. But you see, the problem is that people become addicted to their familiar emotional states, especially fear, anger, anxiety, or any kind of stressful emotion like that. They get stuck. Whether they're stuck on suspense or any other stressful kind of emotion, they stay there in this state. So when the news constantly exposes people to these emotion-inducing programs, the people will come back to the familiar feeling that's being peddled to them. It's kind of like a custody coming back to the dealer over and over. And it's because the brain basically has a natural response, right? The response the brain is hyper-vigilant towards is anything that's shocking or alarming and any kind of drama. So this keeps them stuck in that lower survival frequency. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it becomes automatic. It's almost the same as when, you reach for your phone to check the weather or something like that. And then you end up on social media like, why did I pick up my phone in the first place? Oh yeah, that's right, the weather. But these lower emotional states are deeply ingrained in the central nervous system. In fact, if you look into Bruce Lipton or even Joe Dispenza's work, they'll talk about the neuroscience and the studies that have been done about this and how it affects changes in the body. Also, Dr. Candace Pert's research on neural pathways and how your emotions become stored in the body. Also, there's a number of authors who talk about how each emotion basically has its own frequency. So this is why through mirror neurons and repetitive exposure to negative media, it makes it so it keeps people in that lower vibrational state, which affects their mood, the decisions they make, and the outlook they have on life. Let me say that again, because I want it to sink in. That low-level vibrational energy controls your mood, your decisions, and your overall outlook on life. Do you know what manufacturing consent is all about? I mean, we can get into that, but think about it this way. If you're on a quest in life and you want to seek the truth and you want to find the answers to life's deepest questions, how are you going to feel if somebody gets in the way of that and they start stealing all your information, obstructing your vision with a bunch of unnecessary lies and drama and telling you what to think and what to be mad at or what to desire? And then take a second and look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you one of those people who are doing that to yourself? Because if that somebody is you, if you keep buying what they're selling, then it is what it is. We have a bit of a mental health crisis going on right now globally. And actually the United States is at the top of the list. And it's a fact that we have an economic issue going on. We have social issues going on. And the way that things unfolded in 2020 intensified these issues. But I think the overconsumption of too much negative news is responsible for most of it. You got to understand, stress, anxiety, depression, all these emotional states are supposed to be temporary. You have people out here feeling this stuff for months on end. There's supposed to be a small signal for us to take action and find a solution to the problem. But when you have problem after crisis, after disaster, and then calamity fed to you in heavy rotation, it feels like an overwhelming thing. Subconsciously, you can't even decide to take action on what you need to take action on. And this causes people to self-sabotage. And it's on an unconscious level. They don't even notice that they're doing it. Like I said, we could talk about how most of it is propagated to manufacture consent, but there's an echo chamber for no matter what side you're on that will polarize you into a corner until you conform to one side or the other. Stop falling for this divide and conquer technique that they have. A high frequency being cannot be controlled. And this is how we came into the world. We're supposed to be in unison with each other. We're not supposed to be in competition constantly with each other. We need to collaborate with each other. We need to uplift each other and organize with each other and inspire one another. But first you got to realize how psychological manipulation works, and then you can understand how to break the cycle and escape any construct. Not just the one on the news, I mean from anybody. Which brings me to my next point, and how your attention and energy are limited resources, and your attention and your energy is connected to your vibration. So they need to be protected at all cost. How skilled are you at protecting your energy? Because in this day and age, it's a skill that we got to have. If we want to raise our frequency, we have to cultivate this skill. And I think most people know how to protect their energy from other people who are negative or full of drama and gossip. They got that under control for the most part. But when it comes to the screen, it's a little bit different. You see, we all have a screen in our pocket, and we can't get rid of it. We can't let it go. It's 2024. It could either be used for you or against you. And I'll admit it myself, from time to time, I get baited on social media. I find in the comments section, I'm like, wow, did I just say that? You know, and it takes a little bit of willpower, actually, as funny as it sounds, to actually put down the phone and get to work on my creative projects. It reminds me of that famous study that they did on self-control called the Marshmallow Test. And they had children in a room, and they told the children, each child by themselves, if you don't eat the marshmallow that is right here in front of you, when I come back, you can have an extra marshmallow, so you'll have two. You just have to wait a little bit, right? And then what they did was they tracked all these kids when they grew up into adulthood. And the children who were able to delay gratification for that small moment, they found were more successful in every single area of their lives. They were overall happier, better relationships, better careers. And it was exactly the opposite for the kids who couldn't wait and they had to have the marshmallow right away. So this is a famous study. It's been done over and over again. Look into it if you haven't already. It's very interesting. But I think that this study shows us that having self-control feeds us what we need to raise our frequency and be response-able. So with all this being said, we're going to see news no matter what. And we shouldn't totally ignore all of it. But a boundary definitely needs to be set. And a deliberate focus on consuming more positive or uplifting content needs to replace a lot of the perpetual fear, which is like an entity that is constantly knocking on the door, letting itself in your mind, letting itself in your home. Think about this, because if it penetrates your mind, soon it will penetrate your heart and soul. And that's, you know, we have a lot of people who out here feeling empty with no direction in life because they lack fulfillment. And that's what's causing it. You got to remember too, gratitude amplifies your frequency within minutes or even seconds. How can you have gratitude when you're sitting in front of chaos all day? It's like sitting in a puddle of concern and you're knee deep in it. It doesn't mean be ignorant. We just need a more balanced, constructive mentality that is aligned with our values. Look for sources that inform and empower rather than all the shock value. And some people might say, Kev, I like watching the news, all the misfortune and crazy drama in the world. It actually makes me feel better about my dissatisfaction. I'm serious, like some people will say this. But that's exactly my point. Because they get just enough distraction with that excitement, that low-level excitement, for them to stay at that level and not get to the next level. So essentially, they blocked off any possibility that they would be ecstatic to have otherwise. So if we don't focus on solutions, the problems that are around the corner will grow and eventually overwhelm us into oblivion. See, when you gain control of your attention and you're solution oriented, you become a beacon of light, an inspiration to others. Because that's the power and responsibility that people with a higher frequency have. We all want to see a positive change, right? Ask yourself what positive change you can take that'll step you forward today towards that positive change that you want to see. So don't get stuck on silliness. Control your emotions. Take your mental health seriously. Protect your energy. And let me know in the comments section what we can do today that will have a positive impact on our communities tomorrow. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Till the next one, we'll see you again.